Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We got Victoria again back with us for session number 3. Hello, Charles.
On session 4.
Session 4.
Yep.
Session 3. How's it going, Victoria? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
The
It's
Knicks are in
a
the playoffs.
I know
Sunny
next year in
day.
playoffs. We have a beautiful day here in the city. Are you in New York?
Yeah, I am. You?
Nice. Very cool. I am.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for today's session. I think this one has been one of those that is kind of applicable to everyone, which I love. And I think as we do more of these AI focused sessions, being able to make it tangible and really universal. I think it's very easy to kind of get down rabbit holes of how we make AI work for a very specific task, which is obviously great and very value specific. But I think universally, no matter what your position is, whatever your role is, if you're a solopreneur or an employee, meeting prep takes so much time. And, being able to, whether you're going into a sales call or a client call or an internal call, whatever that might look like, I think figuring out ways to automate and, create something that assists you in that process is just so valuable. So really excited for today's session. Really happy that you are here with us again.
No, I just wanted to say hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us and trusting us actually in your AI journey. I know that there's so much information out there and that you can choose to be anywhere or be working, and you choose to spend your lunch hour with us. So I think with that being said, if you haven't met me before, I'm Victoria. I'm New York based. I'm the founder of Front Desk. It's embedded business operations and marketing support for busy founders and smaller agencies. And we have been diving into the world of AI. And I can honestly say that even like being a founder, being fractional, being any sort of leader in any company comes with this new challenge in this post-COVID remote world of meetings are stacked back to back to back to back. There's like sometimes no time to breathe. You're barely able to get up to the water closet and then like come back and get your cup of coffee. So being able to have context for the meeting that you're about to enter into and have a nice refresher of where you left off in the conversation with that team, group of individuals, or even just like one-on-one meeting is really nice. So the purpose of this is to teach you how to build that out in a sustainable way. So without further ado, let's dive in. This is kind of like a different format for me simply because we're not toggling all of these different platforms behind the scenes. So I'm excited. Just let me know, Will, if you can't see my screen for any point. But I do want to encourage you guys, if you are in the chat box, I would love for you to share in the chat, ask questions in the chat, engage. That's really important because it makes the session more fun and it allows us to, meet you where you're at. So don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what the chat box is for.
Hi, everyone. If you guys don't know me, nice to meet you all. For those who are loyal watchers, thank you so much for coming back. It means everything to me. My name is Will. I founded Catalyst. We are a content agency helping B2B founders and executives get in front of their ideal buyers with content. And we, do a lot with AI trainings because it's obviously the future and everything's moving there. And one of the ways that we can, help you guys is figure out how to use AI and make it part of your workflow to help, either get you some time back or make your life more efficient. And so, yeah, we do these weekly. So please, tune in whenever you have time. We've been doing these on Monday and Wednesday. And we cover a whole lot of different sessions. So back to you, Victoria.
Awesome. Thanks. So let's dive right into it. What does your calendar actually look like? I know that last week we talked a lot about how do we organize our calendar, and calendars are one of those very like intimidating things. And funny story, I was hiring for an EA about a year ago, and I showed her all of the calendars that I had to manage, and I was like, "Your first job is to like block time in this master calendar and make sure everything works." And she started crying and was like, "I don't think I'm the right person for this."
I was telling the story about I was interviewing EAs, and she just got so overwhelmed with this prospect of having to manage my calendar. And the other part that I told her was a lot of times there's so many meetings. I need context. She was crying, but I also let her know, like, I need context before I go into all these meetings. I need you to brief me. Like, what am I talking to this person about? What was the last thing I said? And she was like, this is too much work. And so now I don't have to make anyone cry because I learned a way to help have Claude do it for me. And then we just save company culture all in a few easy steps. So if you guys are here for that, I'm excited to dive in. And like, I know, Will, you and I have talked about this before, where it's like you're flying by the seat of your pants, you're in back-to-back calls, and I feel like I scramble sometimes to make an agenda, or I have to think about, oh shoot, like what did I last say to that person? So anyone else feel that way? Okay, but not as overwhelmed with meetings. That's fair. And I think it kind of depends on your role, but regardless, whether it's meetings or one-on-ones, Will's like, I'm never prepared. That's fair. This is going to help you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So there's also these meetings that like we come to dread, and we need to think about like, okay, who is this person? Or I have to tread very lightly. Maybe it's someone you haven't talked to in a while, or maybe you dropped the ball and like didn't do something well or correctly. And you need kind of like a refresher on what exactly did they say, or what exactly did they expect of me that I may have missed. Anyone else? Oh yeah, Kami says she's very overwhelmed since it's always for like different topics. Absolutely. Okay, so meeting prep and follow up is an information problem. It's not quite a you problem. It just happens to be that most of the time you get the information and then your brain retains only about 25% of it. Either you're relying too much on your note taker, or you're so invested in the meeting, or sometimes maybe you're multitasking, or you're thinking about the next thing that you're not mentally processing everything. 93% of employees say well prepared meetings are more productive. Less than half of those same group of people that participated in the poll said that they actually felt like their meetings were. So the information you need already exists. It's in your calendar, it's in your Slack messages to the client, it's in your transcripts, and it's actually in the documents in your scope of work that you delivered at the beginning of the quarter. It's in that strategy document. The problem is that it lives in so many places. It's very difficult to consolidate all of this information and get it to a point where you feel confident going into your next call with this individual or group of people. So instead of making your human EA cry, we want to make sure that we're saving you time and money by building an executive assistant that does this all for you. So we're going to get you there by making some connections in your Claude Code today. So if you are working on your desktop, I would love for you to pull up your Claude. You're going to need GitHub today. And then if you have Notion and Slack, it's a good time to pull that stuff up. So I'm going to give you a second, and then also give Will a chance to give us his 2 cents.
I get personally frustrated when I show up to a meeting and like I know I should have spent at least a few minutes prepping. And I think in this remote first culture, we've just gotten so accustomed to stacking meetings back to back where genuinely don't have time. And one of my favorite workflows is getting my kind of like daily digest at the beginning of the beginning of the day now, just giving me a heads up of like who I'm talking to and what I can be thinking about going into it. So it really is becoming more and more of a problem as we just keep getting inundated by more and more meetings.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to a friend and she said we lost the culture of like being human in meetings too. There's always just like a task that we're executing on, and we're not taking care of ourselves as people. You know, when you're in
Yeah.
office, you get that moment to like, hey, well, let's grab a coffee or like, let's go to lunch. Now we're literally working through our lunches, we're working through all of our coffee breaks, and like we're mentally overstimulated. So, something like this is also to help you eliminate some of that anxiety that comes from not feeling prepared. Because I know I get very like worried if I don't have everything I need going into a meeting.
Yeah. How do you do it, or how do you think about it across like multiple businesses too? Like how are you staying on top of everything?
Well, so it's interesting. There's so many different tools now, and like I run a lot of my business on. Yeah, we're gonna do a demo pre, I promise. But it's good to give you guys context too. Like I run the business through Slack mostly now, and because there's such solid Slack integrations, and I can build out the agents through there, it makes it a lot easier. I would say
Hmm.
even 6 months ago, I was using multiple messenger platforms, and it got messy. And I think
Yeah.
that just goes back to like there always needs to be a human in the loop that's kind of supporting some of this. But with what we're doing now, not so much.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Cool. So, we gotta jump right into it. Why Cloud Code? I like Cloud Code here because it runs on a schedule. So, as long as your computer is open, it can connect with the tools that you already use, and it reads what's already there and gives it to you before you even know you need it sometimes. So the way that I'm going to build this out is I'm going to guide Claude to prepare for my meeting. So before my call, it's literally pulling info in real time, and it's so close to your meeting time that it's pulling in even messages that the client sent you that morning. It's going to search your Fireflies for past meeting conversations, and it also checks Slack, and then pulls everything into a Notion page to write a brief for you. I want to flag, like, people keep asking me why I use Fireflies. Look, you can use whatever note taker app you prefer. I'm using Fireflies for the sake of these lightning lessons because it's universal. I know some people really love Granola, but that's not available for PCs yet. And so I just want to make this as attainable as possible for as many of you. Once you get all of the information, Claude's going to build you a brief, and it's going to help you look like the smartest person in the room because you'll come in prepared, and it's going to make it so easy because it's going to Slack you a message. It's not going to be this like overwhelming 3-page document. It's just a quick highlight and bullet point of everything. So what we're going to do first is you need to create a GitHub repository, and let me share a different screen really quickly. So why GitHub? GitHub is free. It's like a backend that helps run all of this workflow without you needing to keep the computer open. So it's constantly running in the background. The way that you're going to do it is, well, first, if you don't have a GitHub account, you're going to have to set it up. Okay, so you're going to create a new repository in your code. One sec.
Yeah, Victoria, can you maybe speak to like why GitHub over other services, or just like why not Claude Cowork? How are we thinking about this?
So I like GitHub because it runs without you needing to have your computer open the whole time. It's also free, so that's the biggest part. Um, and I found it very intuitive and easy to work from. So next, well, you need to build a repository. You can name it anything you want. From there, we're going to build a routine with code. And if you have not set up your Claude connectors, I just want to do a quick brief on how to do that for you guys. Okay, so if you go here, I'm using Claude Claude is downloaded on my desktop. So there's chat, there's cowork, and there's code. This one's a little more intensive, and I want to run a routine so I don't have to manually prompt it every time. And so if you have not run a connector yet, what you need to do is make sure that it's set up and it's connected to all of your different apps that you use consistently. So think of anywhere that you run meetings off of, you're going to pull that. So in my case, I use all my communications for client on Slack. I'm pulling my Google Calendar so that it knows what my meeting cadence is. And I'm giving it my Firefly so it has context as to the past conversations that I've had with the individuals I'm going to be meeting with. Then I also put Notion in here because it's my preferred project management tool. All right, so if you look here, now we're gonna go, you have 3 options, chat, cowork, and code. We're going to use code and we're gonna create a new routine, and I'm going to choose a remote routine. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna call it client meeting brief. Now, there is a prompt that Tori is going to put in the chat box, and I'm also going to grab it from the chat box. So what you're going to do is you are going to copy and paste that into your Claude code. And I believe the other half is coming in just a quick sec.
How are you, Vic? How are you creating these
How am I creating
prompts?
this build out? That's a good question. So I think about it in steps, and I have them here for us. So the prompt is here. And when you break it down, I'm having it methodically check each repository of information that I have. So it's pulling from my Google Calendar, and I'm telling it where it needs to check all of the information. So it needs to read all of my meeting details. It needs to search my Fireflies. It needs to check Slack. And very specifically, I tell it the time frame in which to check everything. So like, for example, in Slack, search for any messages mentioning the attending names or their company in the last 14 days across all channels. Note anything the team has flagged, discussed, or raised about them. Right, search Notion. So any pages, databases, any GTMs, project pages, or scope documents, that's also very important. And the more information we give Claude here and the more it has access to, the more comprehensive of a brief it's going to build. And then it tells it exactly how to generate the meeting brief. So it's going to give me, here are the sources that you need to read. What is the most important thing I need to know going into this meeting? What are 2 questions I need to ask based on past interactions and any open items? What is one thing to watch for based on what you found? So this also flags client health in that way. And then any open items from previous meetings that have not been addressed. And then summarize your current relationship status in 1 sentence with the client. And then from here, it's going to save everything in your new entry, your meeting database in your Notion. So it will help you pull that up. You can take a read on that. Kind of similar to what you mentioned that you do in the morning, Will. This is just specific for each client.
Yeah.
And based on the meeting that you have. So there's 2 messages. If you look at the prompt that she provided for you. And so, and by the way, you guys will get a PDF of this after, so you'll be able to take all this information and do it on your own if you are not on your desktop right now. So we pulled all of this info, and then I'm selecting a repository, and this is directly my GitHub link. And then I'm going to schedule this. It's important for you guys to also understand the run I'm going to give it. So this is the cron expression, and it basically breaks down and helps me customize when I want this routine to run, because it's not just a one-time routine. It's going to run every day when I'm working. So it gives you the breakdown. So by minute, so it's going to run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., runs every single hour. So every 60 minutes, runs every day of the month, even though I'm sure hopefully you guys aren't working on the weekends. And then runs on day 1 through 5. So you get to choose how this works. So 1 through 5 of the week. So this is why it translates this way. So this is the code that we're going to add in there. And let's do that now.
And so just so we're clear here, so what we've done is we've built this essentially sequence of steps, a workflow that we want Claude to run through, and a routine, or this like cron expression, which is hopefully not too technical. I think you can just select it through the dropdown and through the UI, but it goes through and runs this workflow each time.
Yes.
And so it happens on an automated schedule, which alleviates the need to remember to do it, or all the reasons that we don't end up doing the things that we think we're going to, and just kind of automates that process. So every morning or every time it runs, you can wake up, go to your Notion, and you see all of this information already available for you.
Correct. Yes, that's a perfect synthesis of that. So also notice here, you get to choose your connectors. So I've chosen multiple connectors for it to pull data from. So now we're going to create this, and I'm going to have it run now. So this is a manual run to see how it works. So let's see what it's doing.
Awesome.
And I love watching Claude work because it's also explaining to you where it's pulling all the information.
Yeah. We have a question about repositories. Essentially, repositories are a fancy word for folders. And so when you have a folder on your computer with files, whether those are images or PDFs or text or Markdown or whatever type of file they are, as soon as you put them in a GitHub, which again is just a way to host your same files on the internet. GitHub sounds scary, but all it is just like an online folder, kind of like Google Drive or like Microsoft Teams. It works a little bit differently. But you just call it a repository once it is stored on GitHub. And so all Victoria's skill is doing right now is saying, hey, work from this folder that lives on the internet, and pull that information.
Yeah, and just if people are like worried about like privacy, there's ways to make them public or private, and like you get to choose that when you're setting up your workflows.
Yeah.
But it's an online way to do it because Claude is limited in the way that it pulls information. So you can kind of see it's pulling different meetings. Right? We have a discovery goal and we have a daily core team meeting.
Victoria, while we're waiting for this, it looks like there's maybe some questions about connectors in general. Do you mind just going and clicking customize for me?
Yep.
So connectors, all they are is they allow you to connect to other softwares that you already use. So if you click connectors and then want to click the plus button, pick and browse, you can see all of these softwares that already have integrations with Claude. And so when you click on one of these, you'll log in through like your Google email or your email the same way you would log into that software directly. And so, yes, it works for Teams. It works for all of these companies that have integrations. So the first step of any of this is think about all the tools that you use on a day-to-day basis. Is that Notion? Is it Google Drive? Is it Microsoft Teams? Is it, Microsoft Outlook? What are the tools that you're actually using? And come in here and log into those. And then you'll be able to pull in the information and the data from those softwares. So it really depends, and the variable is based off of what your actual working tech stack is.
Exactly. And the cool part is like as you're building things, you might be inspired of like, oh, I didn't know Spotify was there. How can I use that in like a personal life skill that I can like automate? Or, you know, Indeed for job searching, how do you expedite your time applying for jobs? Like there's so many tools that you can connect your Claude to. Like this is kind of just the beginning. I know people use it for every part of their life. So definitely take a look at this because I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking at it and I'm always like, oh my gosh, I should build one out for booking.com to find me the best hotel for the trip I'm planning with my family later this year. Right? Like there's so many things you can do, but jumping back into what we're doing, I think it's really helpful. Okay, it's still building. It's kind of cool to see what it's building.
So you're technically right. We aren't saving anything specific in that repository, although if you have like a markdown file of who, you know, your company is or what your business does or any of kind of that foundation, it's going to pull that as it runs this task. But what we're really leveraging here for the routines is the fact that it's hosted on the cloud via GitHub versus being stored locally. And so if the files are stored locally, your computer needs to be up and running for that routine to run. And so as soon as you put it on GitHub, then you're able to run it, you know, even if your laptop is closed or if you're not connected to the internet or whatever. And so it needs to be hosted on GitHub to be able to run fully as a, you know, autonomous routine. It's a little bit technical. This is where it starts to deviate into like where the files are hosted, but yeah, exactly. The computer being on is the limitation.
Okay. Well, these are really smart questions.
Yeah, I love that we have I like that this is a more technical, or maybe people are just learning. I think everyone's getting a little bit more technical now, which is great.
I know. I think it's like this cool part of when you're non-technical, there's a lot more questions, but I think that the way that Claude works, it makes things a lot more intuitive.
I think this is cool, especially when you start thinking about how you can personalize this based off of meeting type, like if it's a sales call or if it's a client check-in, becomes really powerful. It looks like the presentation was created in Canva, which does have a Claude integration as well, which is awesome.
It does. And Claude does a pretty good job of designing if you have a very strong like brand book and brand template guide. I wouldn't trust Claude to design everything by itself. It's not a creative tool the way that I think Canva is. Okay, any other questions there? I hope that means that our deck looks nice.
I think it looks great.
Right. And then I think it's, again, you can make this prompt much sharper based on what you would like to know. But the reality is, we just made one part of this workflow. This brief can go so many different directions. And this is just the start, because once you enter that call and you have this amazing meeting, you can also build out action items for yourself into your project management tracker. You can also draft a follow-up email to say thank you for your time and let's jump on the next call. It can also give you a first stab at an SOW proposal. There's so many flows that you can do, but I want to make sure that you don't forget that every time your routine runs, it's going to learn context and it's going to support you in making stronger decisions that support your business. But I want to flag that Claude also has capacity issues. So it starts to miss things when it gets overwhelmed. And there's only so many routines you can run. And like Will and I talked about, the reason we use GitHub is because Claude has a limitation and only runs when your computer is open. So if you're traveling, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do all the time. And so this is why we choose Relay.ai, because it helps you build fully automated workflows that cover you end to end. And Relay is going to connect all of it together for you. So it's going to take you from managing your calendar to that meeting brief, meeting agenda, all the way to meeting recap notes, project management, next steps, follow up, and reminders for you throughout the week. And so I'm excited to show you how to build that in our workshop after the lightning lessons. So if you're interested in that, we have a code for you today. You save $100 on the actual workshop, and that's a very interactive 3-hour session in which we're going to build things alongside you. So if you're interested in that, let us know. After this, you're also going to get a email from us with the PDF, with the prompts and everything else that you need to do this on your own time.
If everyone could go check out our other sessions on Maven, you can see the course is coming up with Victoria starting June 17th, but then also our other workshops and free lightning lessons that we're doing. Would love to see you there. We're covering everything from content production, helping be more prepared for the content that you're producing, and we are talking a lot about AI visibility. So how to show up on AI and actually get your brand cited and recommended by ChatGPT and Claude. So hope to see you guys at some of those future sessions. Thank you guys.
Thank you all so much. I hope you have a great day. Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.